Immigrants shouldn't have access to welfare until they become citizens. I'm an immigrant and I am appalled at how many people are totally okay with their taxes being spent on people who didn't contribute anything to their countries. If you choose to move to another country, it's perfectly okay, but you have to make a contribution to your new homeland before you reap the benefits. For example, in France by law 25% of new construction is social housing and most of it goes to migrants who didn't work a day in their lives. If I want to buy an apartment, I will need to take a 20-year loan and pay about 30% of my salary. But someone who entered the country illegally and never worked gets an apartment for free. Of course it's not free, it's people who actually buy apartments that pay for it. Same with healthcare. I pay about €300 per month for the obligatory healthcare, but it only reimburses a small percent of my expenses, so I have to also pay for a complimentary private insurance to get a good reimbursement. Yet illegal migrants who don't pay anything get their health expenses reimbursed at 100% by the public insurance. And then there are child benefits. It's no big secret that many migrants from a certain continent make 5+ children just to live off the child benefits. They even fake divorces to also get the single parent benefits. In the end, all it does is attract more illegals who want to have a carefree life without having to work. And sooner rather than later it will bankrupt the system. Everyone knows about the ongoing protests in France against the retirement reform. Yet nobody talks about why this reform is necessary in the first place. The socialist governments were awarding retirement to people who didn't contribute to the retirement fund, so eventually it went insolvent. Now they have to raise the retirement age while also raising the obligatory contributions. Removed. How are illegal immigrants getting welfare/food stamps? I'm a natural-born American citizen, and I attempted to apply for food stamps/government aid. I had to provide social security info, proof of residency, proof of citizenship, multiple forms of ID, proof of income/pay stubs, provide income info for people in my household, and after all that get denied. Here in Canada, our government literally gave a Syrian refugee and his family $1 million. I've no problem with immigration or refugees, but given that the Canadian economy sucks, why the hell is the government giving a refugee $1 million? There are thousands of other places that money could go which would benefit people who pay taxes and thus funded that handout. Wait, people who aren't citizens still contribute though? My boyfriend is an immigrant from a European country. He has a green card but is not a citizen. He still pays state and federal taxes. He earns quite a bit more than I do and pays an insane amount of taxes compared to me as well. I don't see why he couldn't reap the benefits of something he has contributed to for the last 10 years if he really needed it. I would agree with this, but I paid more in taxes than I received in benefits even before I was a citizen in Canada. Why don't you stop collecting taxes from non-citizens if you don't want to serve them in return? I have seen countless people who think only citizens pay taxes. In reality, same amount of deduction applies to my salary. I'm an immigrant to Australia and will most likely never be a citizen, only a permanent resident. Don't plan on picking up benefits, but I prefer the option to being available. If they pay taxes to the country they are in, they can use the country's benefits. Imagine paying rent but you're not allowed to use the toilet because you aren't related to the owner of the building. The idea that people immigrate because they want to live a carefree life where they don't have to work is becoming increasingly insulting and tired. That's not how it works. People don't leave behind their entire lives, families, friends, jobs, and homes because they are lazy. People immigrate for a myriad reasons, among them to escape poverty, violence, persecution, discrimination, but chiefly to create better, often safer lives for themselves and those who would come after them. That said, I agree that non-citizens perhaps shouldn't have access to welfare and certain social services, but a lot of developed countries have naturalization processes that take far too long, and people who have left behind everything are going to need help. In the USA, undocumented immigrants are not eligible for federal benefits. Green card holders are eligible after 5 years of holding legal status. Both groups contribute more in tax dollars than they take in benefits. I was born in Tennessee to a long line of white people. I can honestly say that I would rather have my tax dollars pay to keep people fed, whether they are citizens or not, than to pay for another tank, aircraft carrier, or military contractor. I think if we invested a little more in humanity and a little less in warfare, we might grow a conscience again. A lot of undocumented immigrants actually pay taxes here in the United States, especially into programs that they're unable to benefit from. They're a big reason why Medicare and Social Security stay solvent. Welfare is not a charity. The poorest of society have a huge effect on local cities and towns. Either they're in severe poverty, potentially homeless and unemployed, dragging down property values, turning to crime in desperation, and raising kids to do the same. Or you help them out a bit and they become productive members of society that spend the majority of their income in local businesses and their hometown, giving those areas a huge boost economically and socially. Most of the Western world sees that what you don't pay for in welfare you pay for twofold in the costs of handling and policing poverty. The US has a higher prison population than the rest of the world combined for a reason. That is absurdly expensive and completely immoral. New Europe, we are working to feed those who don't want to work. If you disagree you are called racist. Most immigrants and illegals I know are hard fucking workers. I don't know of anyone who just lives off the system. I believe that people wanting to live solely from welfare is a myth of the right. No one likes to live without a purpose. Fuck that. Plenty of people live in countries without citizenship but still legally, spouses, refugees, etc. Visas exist. Immigrants pay taxes. State subsidies exist. Federal subsidies exist. Lumping all forms of social program into a ball of taxpayers get less because of the users of such systems is like saying the ocean is sand * because beaches have sand. Immigrants aren't only either illegal or citizens. Visas of many sorts exist. Your post shows how little you know of this reality. Focus your energy on the big subsidies, military, corporate and banking, which are often not even American-owned institutions. I can agree, aside from healthcare. I, as a natural-born American citizen who pay my taxes, am 100% alright with some of my money going to ensure anyone can have healthcare treatment when they are in my country and in need. There are plenty of things our government wastes our money on that I wish they wouldn't, but keeping people alive is not one of them. Cite a source for saying they have never worked a day in their lives. My dude, do immigrants have access to welfare? I thought part of the green card process is proving you won't become a public charge. Most immigrants I know pay taxes as soon as they are able. God, this comment thread is a dumpster fire. Why don't you actually research how the immigration system is before commenting ignorant bullshit? Most of what the op wrote is not even remotely close to what is actually going on. Fuck yours, I got mine. I'm a big proponent of ending the welfare state and then opening the borders, but you can't have open borders and a welfare state. You can choose one or the other. This post is so full of misinformation. Don't talk about France if you can't understand how the benefit system work. No one is giving apartments to illegal immigrants. If any person is given a room it's because they are asylum seekers, and you can't get any type of benefit if you do not have the proper identifications. The current Yellow Vests revolts have nothing to do with immigrants but are a result of different socio-economic problems that have been caused by dozens of badly thought politics since the 90s, whenever or not the government is socialist. Blaming immigrants for everything is just plain stupid. You're ignoring the real problems while looking for a population to blame. Importing people is cheaper than rearing and teaching them. For locals it's infuriating, but for businesses, governments, and developing economies it's great. Stored time from me, I guess. My family, grandparents, immigrated from China shortly before the communists took over China because they realized what was about to happen, and so they left Hong Kong with enough money for 1 month's rent and started working hard to live both a better life and to get citizenship. My grandpa went from being a radio announcer for the Hong Kong radio to working as both a bartender and a mailman, while my grandmother essentially worked at a sweatshop making dresses. Both of them worked extremely hard at extremely grueling hours to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck. It's been a family value that to have anything in life you need to work hard for it, so I agree in part with what you're saying. I don't agree with all of it. I don't believe governments should pay for immigrants and refugees. I believe the government should give all immigrants and refugees the opportunity to legally work. 100% agree. I have a friend who immigrated and had a child within a year of coming to our country. She has been living on government benefits ever since. She paid taxes for 10 months and claimed 10 years worth of benefits. So many self-loathing white people in the comments who believe infinite amounts of immigrants need to be taken in because racism and colonialism, no matter the cost on their fellow countrymen. Man, you're pissed? My state of California passed legislation that all illegal immigrants get access to welfare programs and tuition-free college. Keep in mind we have the biggest homeless civilian and veteran population of any state. This is why your opinion is unpopular. And it should stay that way. We should help everyone we can. I'm in the UK and I also agree, especially because I've been on the losing end when I had to move due to a new housing development, so the old flats had to be knocked down and I had the option to take a new property and get no money or get 2K and move somewhere else, and I chose to move so I could try and get a place closer to my mother, but those were newer places less than a year old too max, and I couldn't choose them. I had to choose from the buildings older than my fucking mother. I might not be racist or xenophobic, but it does piss me off knowing that newer properties are being given to migrants over the locals who actually need them more. I had one relative kicked out because she has more rights than migrants and her private landlord would jack up the price and she'd be on the streets, and plenty of private landlords and even some housing associations will kick tenants out so they can make more money from illegals. Every day there are thousands of illegal immigrants coming to Spain. Even if the far left want to make it seem like it's okay, it's not. Here in Europe we are all tired of having to maintain people that has never contributed to raise Europe. I am sorry, but I won't feel responsible for whatever happened 500 years ago. We don't own anything to Africa. Don't try to bullshit that to me, someone who works and studies and pays taxes. This is exactly why the far right is having more and more popularity in Europe. Even here in Spain the far right has 52 seats in the Congress, almost 4 million votes. In a few years, native population will be so tired that there will be racism like we haven't known. Why? Simply, because they are not making good migration politics. It's gonna be terrible, I am sure.